Okay, so I have made a list, a tier list, of all the PS2 games that I grew up with, and I'm gonna be, well, ranking them. That's kind of what you do with tier lists. I want to try and explain each of these as well as I can. Not really like what they are, but why I rated them the way that I did, as you do with a tier list, instead of just going, you know, there's actually thought put into it. Okay, so starting up, we're gonna go with the classic of mine, the original Sly Cooper. Sly Cooper 1, I played quite a bit. It's really good. It was the stepping stone for me into kind of like 3D platformers. It works kind of like the original Spyro, if you've ever played that, where you have a hub world and there's like portals that you go into to go into different missions. And those missions would be other worlds. And there were multiple hub worlds. Anyway, this, believe it or not, no matter how much I love this game, is getting an A. Because although it is very good, it's just the stepping stone into greatness. Now on par, or even better, at the same time I was playing Sly 1. Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. The first Jak game came out. And this, I have to give it an S. Above the first Sly Cooper, it's shocking. But this was a fully open world 3D platformer with no loading screens. That is immensely impressive on the PS2. Everything was seamless. It worked perfectly. There's so much to do in the game and everything. I still think about it. It's amazing. And I've recently been replaying through the game, and it still holds up to this day. It's surprisingly difficult, too. You can't just break a crate and get health back. No, you gotta break a crate, hope you get enough to get even close to healing. Okay, what's up next on the list? Crash Bandicoot, Wrath of Cortex. Okay, this is weird. I played this game quite a bit. I can't give it that high. It sees like the highest it can go. Because this game is known as the loading screen game, where each loading screen takes roughly like 2 minutes. The level design isn't good, the enemy placements aren't good. I'm sorry, you're getting a D tier. You're not. Sorry. It's not very good. They did make up for this, however, in Crash Twinsanity. This game is amazing. It's completely different than anything you would expect. It's kind of open world while also being level based. The soundtrack is completely a cappella, which, if you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's really good, surprisingly. One of the most unique game soundtracks I've heard in a long time. The game has good humor. Really good humor. The story is the only thing that's kind of iffy about it. The twin birds. I remember playing this game and having a ton of fun doing it. There's a section with chickens, and you launch them in the nitro crates. You didn't have to, but you can. That's what I did constantly. I'm giving this B tier. Crash Twinsanity is really good. I don't think it's better than the original trilogy combined, because that's just a classic, but this is a really good fun take. I should note this now. The Crash Trilogy and the Spyro Trilogy are not in this list, because they are PS1 games. So next up, we're going to go for a bit of a random grab. Guitar Hero 2. Okay. I don't have very many memories of this, because when I played it, I was very young, and I would mainly just kind of watch my dad play it. But it was fun. Even though I had no clue what I was doing, I was just kind of hitting buttons. I'm going to put this in B, because I think if I were to pick this up again today, I would have a lot of fun playing it. I don't really have much to say on that game. Okay, so now we're going to go into a bit of a strange one, Pac-Man World 2. This game is not what you expect. It's an open world adventure game that is surprisingly good. Like, I would legit put this in A tier because it is so fun. It has a good story, very fun boss fights, and just overall gameplay. I don't know. Okay, wait, Pac-Man World 2 is level based. Pac-Man World 3 is the open world one. I still have to put Pac-Man 2 at A. This one's so fun, I would go back and play it all the time. If you haven't played this, I recommend playing it. Or look up a video on it if it exists, I don't know. Okay, now we're going to cut back to one of my favorites again. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Adore this game. Absolutely love it. This is getting an A tier automatically. You're a Tasmanian tiger, which is one of the coolest animals in existence. They don't exist anymore, sadly. This game was made based off of an animal that went extinct, but it was such a unique animal they felt like they had to make a game about it. What shocks me is this is an EA game, but it's good. It's not cash grabby, nothing. It's just really solid. You're just a tiger with boomerangs, but yeah. Next up, we're gonna go for a little bit of an oddball, a little bit of one. Smuggler's Run. This game was one of those games that you just get on and you drive. You don't do anything else. There's a story to this game, yes, but you don't do that. No, you just drive around the open map, look at the environment, and have fun. There's a section with a waterfall, and there's a bear in front of it. And yeah, me and my sister would just always drive to there and follow the bear around, because that was fun. B tier. I gotta give that a B tier. So now we're gonna get into some Spyro games. What is this, A Hero's Tale? I don't think, it was kind of a new take on the Spyro series. Like trying to somewhat stay close to the original, but go their own way with it. Their own character designs, their own story. And while it's not bad, it's not good. I'd give this at most a C. So that, I'm gonna do this right away. I'm gonna get the Spyro ones done. Okay, Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. This one's weird for me. I remember playing it and having fun with it, but it's not well made. It's very glitchy. It doesn't look good. The story doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm sorry, you're going in D tier. Okay, Spyro A New Beginning. You can tell by the name, it's a new beginning, a completely new take on Spyro. They made his story dark, while also not being able to do a dark story because it's Spyro. It didn't work out too well. I'm not a fan of this game. They changed a lot, and not in the best of ways. This is getting a D tier. Kicking it up to be a bit more positive, we've done quite a few D tiers. Jak 2. This game is incredible. So to compare this to the first game is an open world collect-a-thon 3D platformer. Very lighthearted. It gets a little bit dark at the end, but that's really it. It's just a fun experience. And then you have Jak 2. Jak 2 is dark. There's guns, you're in a dystopian future, trying to overthrow the government. It's fun. The gameplay is GTA-esque, where you can just steal a car whenever you want, fly around, punch civilians, shoot civilians, do what you want. You'll get cops after you. It's really fun. I give this another S. Spongebob, Atlantis, Squarepantis. This game is a rhythm game. You take a trip around Atlantis, and you just hit buttons at the right time to not fail. There's also some other game modes. You drive the bus in one of them, and then you also kind of explore areas in like a tag team kind of thing, but one player tag team. It's weird. Anyway, it's fun. It's not too good. This is another C tier. While we're on the topic of SpongeBob, Nicktoons Unite. This game I remember playing, not being good at all because the controller scheme was a bit weird. But I remember it being really cool seeing all these different Nickelodeon cartoons in one game. Like playing as SpongeBob and Danny Phantom at the same time was really cool to me. I want to go back and play this again. But for now, it's getting a C tier. So we're going to go to a bit of an obscure one. We have Karaoke Revolution Country. This game, it's a karaoke game. What can I say? I'm not a big fan of karaoke games, but this was a big part of my childhood, which is why it's here. I'm gonna give this a D tier. Not because it's a bad game, but because it's not my type of game. And while we're here, I'm also gonna put Sing It there. These two, they were really fun with family. My sister loved these games. My mom loved these games. My dad was more of a Guitar Hero fan than these, but yeah. Still fun. Still part of my childhood. I'm glad they existed. Okay, next up is American Idol. You might have thought that I was going to put it with these because, you know, it's a singing game. No, this gets a bump up. Because in this you actually get judged by the judges, and that can lead to some really funny moments. There was a memory of us at my cousin's house with a group of friends too, and we were playing this, and we got so into it we were throwing like the wads of paper at the TV whenever they disagreed. It was one of the most fun memories I have. I want to go back then, do it all again. So next up is a game that I am despised for. Jamesbond 007, Agent Under Fire. This game, I love this game. The story is good, the gameplay is good, but it's also really difficult, and I mainly played this for the multiplayer. People in the house would play with me, but they don't play with me anymore. They stopped playing with me a long time ago because I'm undefeated in this game. I want to play more of this game, but my family won't play it with me because I absolutely destroy them. For that, it's S tier. Okay, ATV Off-Road Fury, the first one. This game is kind of like Smuggler's Run in terms of you just kind of drive around, have fun, do tricks in the air. This one, there's also races that you can do. I don't know, this gets a B tier. It's a pretty fun game, but nothing spectacular. ATV Off-Road Fury 2, however, is kind of the same as the first one, except this one has one of the best soundtracks in gaming history. If you don't believe me, look it up, listen to it, it's fun. They are real songs. They're not custom made for the game, I don't think. But they are really good. The game is obviously more polished than the first one with more things to do, bigger open maps, more control, I guess. And this kind of applies to the third game, but for some reason, it feels worse. I like the feel of the second game more than I do the third game. And once again, the soundtrack of the second game is superior. So now we're going to cut over to another one of my favorite games when I was younger. Tak and the Power of Juju. What a game. It's so weird and it stands out against a lot of games today. I don't expect this game to ever come back as like a remake or anything, but if it does, that'd be amazing. This is getting an A tier. The gameplay in this game is really fun. The way that it shows health with a feather on his head and the feather slowly drains in color, I thought that was really cool. The abilities, the art style, the voice acting, everything's really good. This gets an A. This is on par with Sly 1. So next up is one that I don't think many of you have ever heard of. This is Buzz Robo Jam. This game uses those Buzz controllers. They look like this. They're very weird. It's kind of like I don't want to say a child's game, but this one specifically is a child's game. But it's such a fun party game because even though it's so simplistic, you get really competitive with it. And my family has spent countless nights playing this, competing against each other, and it is really, really fun. One of you won me on Bug Blast. Okay, another game that is like the Jamesbond one is known as Rayman Arena. It's an arena battling game with Rayman characters. You kind of run around, you go into paintings. These paintings will give you, or they're item frames, and they give you an item. Each one's a different weapon. Yeah, this game's fun. My family stopped playing it with me because just like the James Bond one, I destroyed them most of the time. They did win a few times on this one, but this game's really fun. It also has a racing mode. The racing mode's pretty good. I gotta give this an A tier. It's really fun, but the entire game is just those two modes. So next we're gonna kick it up to a classic, Ratchet and Clank. The first one, the original, the one that started it all. This was made by Insomniac, the people who made Spyro. They ran out of ideas for Spyro, so they made this. And I'm so glad that they did. This game is amazing. S tier. This goes up behind Jack 2. The gunplay in this game is really fun. The creative weapons in it are really good. The level design, the way that the missions work, it's so good. This is going to take a bit of a turn real quick. I know we did Rayman Arena, but Rayman 2? If you've never played this game, I highly suggest it. If you've played the first Rayman, it's so different. This game is dark. It starts off with you being a prisoner and like almost dead. I think you do die, but you're like brought back to life by a fairy. I really can't remember all too much. I just remember it being really dark and surprising. But the game is so good. The game is incredible. Man, I'm rating these really high. I'm gonna get this one out of the way. Bratz. Now this one, it's weird. My sister would play this all the time. This was like her PS2 game, but it was actually kind of good. There's something about a look of a game that's kind of nostalgic. Like Enter the Dragonfly, for me, whenever I see any cutscene of that, it's this weird sense of nostalgia. And this game has that. So I don't want to put it in D tier just because every time I see it, I'm like, oh, it's that game. Playing it, the gameplay was actually kind of fun. Running around doing missions. I don't remember all too much of it. It has to go in C instead of D just because it's a classic to me, I guess. So next we're going to go up to Time Splitters. This game is really good. When I was a kid, I was scared of the box cover. You can see it here. It's just a female robot looking thing, and I thought that was terrifying. So I never played this game when I was little. When I was older, I did. I even went to one of my friend's houses, and he has a bunch of Time Splitters 2 and Time Splitters 3. But this game is really good. I'm gonna give it a B because I think the others are better than the first one. Obviously, because that's just like how game production works. The sequel is often better than the first because it had more to build off of rather than just being built from scratch. Not always the case. Last of Us 2. So, on the topic of sequels, Sly 2, Band of Thieves. I don't know what to say about Sly 2. Besides the fact that it's now an open world game. Really good level designs, characters, writing, story. I'm at a loss for words as to what I could say here, because I don't want to rant for like an hour. This is easily the highest S tier I could possibly get. If you haven't played Sly 2, play Sly 2. So I guess because we're doing sequels, Attack 2. This one, I remember being good. I don't remember much of it past a certain point. I remember turning into a flea and being flung. That is it. I have to give this a B because I do remember genuinely really enjoying this one. But I don't remember anything else. I honestly can't remember if Going Commando or Up Your Arsenal was the second Ratchet and Clank game. I can't remember which is which. I'm going to assume that it's Going Commando. This one, I remember being more difficult than the first game. I didn't play this one as much, even though I thought it was good. I'm going to give it an A. Because it's still good, but I don't remember it being as good as the original. We're going to take a bit of a jump here. We're going to go into Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. So this game is really good. And people are going to say, oh, it defined web swinging for the Spider-Man games. Yes, it did. But I didn't play this game that much. While it was really good, the gameplay was pretty solid, I think it was just kind of... It was pretty good. I was going to put it in C tier, but I can't bring myself to do it. That's a B tier game. On the other hand, Spider-Man 3, this one goes in A tier, because this is such a fun game. Really good game. When I played through it, there was a side story that I wasn't expecting. Obviously, this follows like the film's Spider-Man 3, but it also does other things. Like the lizard is in this game. Why? I don't know. He is. He's not in Spider-Man 3. He's here. It's really fun. I would spend hours just swinging around the city, not doing missions, just kind of swinging, looking around. And now with the Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales, I do the same thing. I just spend hours swinging around doing nothing because it's fun. Okay, we're running kind of low on games now, I guess. So we're gonna kick up the pace a bit. We're almost there. Ace Combat Zero. This game, my dad played this a lot, and we would do the dogfights in it. So it was just me versus him, no one else on this massive open map. I started to learn how to play, and I beat him a lot. He was really good at the game, and I guess I just learned how to beat him. This is getting an A, because this game was incredibly fun. Ace Combat 7 is very faithful to this. So now we're going to cut to Star Wars Battlefront. This game is quite something. It's hard to describe this game, because this one is the more forgettable one. I'm putting this in C, because it's good. 90% of this tier list is just, oh, this game's good. I need to come up with more words. But it's fun, but it's not what it could be. But then you have Star Wars Battlefront 2. This is the game. This goes up in S tier, because this is the most played game I think I have on the PS2. The new Star Wars Battlefront 2 has nothing on this in terms of gameplay. Gameplay with this is so much more fun. I don't know what it is about it. This one, it's just better. It's really hard to describe. You have to play it for yourself to find out. Okay, so we're going to go a bit into the obscure games. So we got Finding Nemo. This game is not what I thought it would be when I played it. You go through the events of Nemo, but basically the only gameplay is you swim through rings. And you can't miss rings, otherwise you'll lose. It's not good. I don't recommend playing this game. On the other hand, you have Over the Hedge. This game. I absolutely adore this game. It's so fun. I've played through this countless times. The multiplayer in it's fun. There's mini games. There's just co-op campaign, which is what we would do most of the time. They got bumper cars. This game's incredible. This gets S tier. Black. Now this game, if you think Call of Duty on Veteran is hard, you haven't played this game. This game is incredibly difficult, but it's incredibly fun. I'm putting this in A, because I didn't play too much of it because it was that difficult. I want to go back and play it now to see if I'm any better at it, but I remember it's a lot more free than Call of Duty. The campaign missions are a lot less linear. With that being said, we go down to San Andreas. Now, I'll be honest, I've only been able to play this at a friend's house. I was never allowed to touch games like this as a kid, and the little bit that I was there, it was really fun. It still holds up today. This is an A tier. I can't give it an S because it didn't make my childhood, but the quality of that game is A tier. Now, we're going to cut over to Burnout Takedown. The Burnout games, if you haven't played them, are so good. It's the kind of just dumb fun. You sit there and you play it and you just have a good time. Taking a car, going full speed and crashing into another car with no repercussions, fantastic. And Takedown, oh wait, no, this isn't Takedown, this is Revenge. Okay, Revenge, I don't think it's as good as Takedown, it's still really good though. Burnout 3 Takedown, this is A tier. This one has a mode where you're racing, and while you're racing, you have to destroy as many enemy cars as you can. I would do that a lot. I can't remember my high score. Otherwise, I would challenge you to beat it. But, yeah. I'm slowly running out of things to say for each of these games. So next up is Pac-Man World 3. I touched on this earlier, a little bit when I talked about Pac-Man World 2. Pac-Man World 3 is open world. The story is good. I don't think it has as much of its charm, as much charm as the second game has. The second game has so much charm, it's so nice, but it is still really good. I would give this an A tier, but lower down than the second game. Next up is a bit of a wild ball. WALL-E. This game is surprisingly good. It takes the world of WALL-E and you can explore it. Each area is this massive area. You can do what you want. You have so many like mobility controls. The game's just so charming. I absolutely love this game. This is an S. I played this so much. Even if I just kept repeating the same like 3 areas, I'm willing to play those same 3 areas again because it was that good. So then we go to Tech and the Great Juju Challenge. I don't remember much of this game. I played the other 2 much more than I played this one. This one's kind of forgettable. It's good. It's built off the same platform as the other 2. Tech's character is a lot more cocky than he was in the second game. This is going to be a C. It's still a good game, but it's not as good as the first 2. Speaking of a good game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. I love this game. I played this so much when I was a kid. My grandma, she is actually surprisingly the one who introduced me to games. Like all of these games on this list, she owned. I got these from her. And Battle for Bikini Bottom was one that I know for a fact she 100%ed. And I adore this game so much. And it got remastered not too long ago, and you bet I bought that day one and I 100%ed it. Day one. This game is incredible for being just a SpongeBob game. So next up is we'll do Soul Calibur 3. This game's a bit strange. It's a fighting game, kind of like Tekken. I've only played this a few times, but what I do remember is I played it against my uncle, and I was just kind of button mashing because I didn't know what I was doing, and I did the coolest looking combo I have seen done in a fighting game, and I did it by pure accident, and I got a flawless run because of it. I have to give this a B tier because it was so fun, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And this game's still popular today. Not the third one, but like the game franchise is still popular today, I should say. So it's still holding up. Time Splitters 2. This game, like I said earlier, is like the first one. Better story, better gameplay. It belongs up in A tier. Just to put it simply. Next up, Tie 2. This game is my favorite tie game. Granted, I've only played the first and second one. I've seen the third one. I swear I've played the third one, but I don't know if I really have. So this is going into S tier. Bottom of S tier for now. I also got this on Steam recently because they have the remastered on Steam. And it still holds up. It's still really good. I absolutely love this game. Next up is Avatar: The Burning Earth. This game is really fun. It captures Avatar really well. It has one of those like nostalgic looks to it, and same thing with the sounds it has in it. I want to play this game again because it's so fun, but it's also one where you want to play with a second person because it's co-op. I'm gonna put this in S for now because it's also an arena fighting mode, and I remember playing that a lot, and that was really good. Next up, Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. This one, I remember being incredibly difficult. I don't know if it really was or if I was just bad at the game, but this is going in A because I remember it being a lot of fun, but a bit hard. Okay, next up on our list is Jak 3. Jak 3 is quite a game. It takes the gameplay from Jak 2 and expands upon it, makes it a bit more sad. It starts off with you being exiled, but I remember liking Jak 2 more. Jak 3 is still phenomenal. As a trilogy, they are unbelievable. I want to do a video about their story and how it interweaves and how everything is left answered, I guess. It's really good. I'm putting this in A just because I don't think I played it enough to realize how good it truly is. Next up is Scooby Doo. This game is fun. I remember playing this game a lot. It's kind of, if I remember right, it's like interweaving plots of Scooby Doo into one adventure. I don't think it's episode based. I remember it being confusing, but this is probably because I was like 4. From what I remember, it was pretty good. I'm putting it in B. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Next up is Ratatouille. Ratatouille was a game I played a lot. I would always get to the same point and just never progressed past it because it was so fun just running around. And that was when you first got to the kitchen. That was always just fantastic. Every time I look at this game on a different thing, it seems different. The Xbox version of this game feels different than the PS2 version of it. I don't know if there's a reason for that, or if it's just I'm remembering this game different than it really was. Oh, don't do that. But I'm gonna have to give this game a decently high A, because it was so good. I want to play it again. And last but not least, Sly 3. This game, in terms of the Sly series, is somewhat controversial in terms of it's either your favorite one or it's not your favorite one. For me, I would say it's my favorite one for a few reasons. One's the overall message of family, building a family, something that he's never had, not living up to the family's expectations and just kind of being him, breaking free of that kind of cycle, setting his own stone in the Cooper name. But I will say, gameplay-wise, Sly 3 is really good, but it's missing one thing, and that's clue bottles. It's in the other two Sly games. It's even in Sly 4, which was made by a different company. Sly 3 didn't have them. And I'm sad about that, because the clue bottles were the best thing. But, oh well. It's fine. This is my tier list. I don't know how many of you guys have ever played half of these games, or if you guys know about any of these games, but this is my list. You have a different opinion on these. This is on Tier Maker as childhood PS2 games if you would like to put your own spin on this. And I think that's it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.